Welcome back, everybody. So right now we're going to be going over part 2 of the MSU Chorale's tour to Scandinavia. Now at this point I think we're at Norway, so we'll be going over when we were in Bergen, when we went through the Valdres region, and then finally when we ended up in Oslo. So I hope you enjoy, and welcome to Life with Luke. So let's get right into it. I really kind of liked how I set up the last video just because I'm not really sure how much B-roll I have on each thing, so just in case I did maybe miss filming certain things throughout the trip, I've just been kind of talking about what we did in that region before just finally showing some B-roll clips. This will probably be different than how I'll try to do things on future trips, but just kind of how the time worked out. I felt like this was easier just to kind of explain the entire trip and then put in some clips at the end for people to enjoy. So if you want to skip, like I said at the beginning, feel free to skip until that video. But yeah, so let's get into kind of what we did in the second part of the trip when we were in Norway. So when we left from Iceland, we flew into Bergen, Norway. That was our first stop. In Norway, we were there for about a week, and then Sweden, Denmark, we were about that region for another week. So we really got a lot of good quality time in Norway. And personally, Norway was my favorite country. The people there are incredible. It's beautiful. And luckily for us, when we were on the west coast, it didn't rain at all, which in Bergen, apparently it rains about every single day. So it was super nice to miss that. So when we got into Bergen, we had the first day off. We took a driving tour through the whole city. Had a really incredible guide where she took us to the palace, took us all over the town. Then we took a walking tour, and it was incredible just to see the history. There's a really sad history of fires in Bergen, so she really detailed how they have had fires in the past and how they try to prevent them now. And one of my biggest takeaways from being in Bergen and really all of Scandinavia was the intentionality to take care of the environment. The environment is such a precious thing, and all of them know that. So we were in one restaurant, for example, I forgot the name of it, but so you got your food and then you took it out to your table, and I was carrying the plate and I accidentally dropped a French fry on the ground, and my hands were obviously super full, so I was like, oh no, I want to pick this up, but I can't right now, so I'm gonna go set down this stuff and then I'll pick it up, because it was relatively close to where we were sitting. But when I kept walking, the person that worked there just came up like, oh my gosh, the American just leaving their food everywhere. So I definitely could tell just in everything how intentional they were about keeping this earth that we have clean, and that was super cool to see. So on this driving tour, we got to see awesome churches, both some of the old stave churches, kind of like Viking churches, and also some more recent churches, probably like what you'd think of like the more recent like Catholic churches, Lutheran churches, stuff like that. And one of them being the church that we were going to sing in for our second concert of the tour, but first one in Norway. So after the walking tour and kind of going all over the city, we went back and we had a really nice dinner down in the city center, right down by the water, and it was gorgeous. We actually sang a few songs there as well. And luckily for us, doing that was actually got some of our audience to come the next night. So that was pretty cool that we got some local people to come to our concert just by singing at this restaurant. After that, we went back. Some of us were in homestays, some of us were in hostels. Unfortunately, I was in a hostel. Personally, I like the homestays much more. If I could have a homestay every night, that would be incredible, just because you're able to meet so many nice people and really get to an insight of what their culture is like. But yeah, so I was in a hostel the first night in Bergen, but it was great. It was right up in the mountains, and we had some of the best views really of Bergen from this hostel, so that was pretty special. And then the next day, we pretty much had the entire day off and then a concert that night. So a lot of the day was just going around shopping, having lunch, doing things like that. I didn't get many videos, honestly, just because I forgot. We were just kind of looking at things and I just forgot to bring a camera. But it was nice. We took a vernacular, I think that's what they call it, up to the top of the mountain. Then we walked down. I might have a few small clips of that, but not as much as I would have liked. After that, we had our first concert in Norway, which was incredible. We had it at the Bergen Cathedral along with the Bergen Cathedral Choir. It was another college-age choir, and it was awesome. The audience wasn't super large just because, for one, their cathedral was under construction, so if you were to see it from the street, it looked like it was pretty closed. And at least for me, if I was an audience member, I just would not have known where to go. But we did have some people, a good portion of the audience was those people that we sang for the night before. And I made lifelong friends from that specific concert, just like many of the other ones. And yeah, it was awesome. Sadly, that was our last night in Bergen. We only had a couple days there. And then we took off for the Valdres region. We went to both Stalheim, to Flom, and to Oslo-Slidre. I think that's how you say it. And we had another concert there, and we also had some incredible hiking. And we took a water safari throughout the fjords. And this had to have been probably the coolest 3 days of tour for me. Just all of the sites that we got to see were impeccable. I'll put in some clips later, but we had some incredible hiking, met some little goats. We had one of the most life-changing concerts in Oslo-Slidre. These people were just so passionate about music, and they honestly just wondered like why we would come there. And really our main reasoning was just like when you come to America, there's not only LA and there's not only New York. It's the same in Norway, it's the same in Sweden, all these places. It's not just Oslo and Bergen. It's not just Gothenburg and Stockholm, right? There's other places, and we're kind of like the other place in America, being in Missouri. So it was really cool to be able to kind of bond over that almost, and share both of our loves for music. After that concert, we also they brought in some folk music people and dancers from Norway, and we got to really see that, have a authentic Norwegian meal, and it was awesome. It was these things that on a normal trip you're not normally going to find. But by going into these people's houses and into their lives, you're really able to get a glimpse of what the real culture is like. So that's something that's always going to be very special to me and very special to everyone in the choir. So let me backtrack a little bit. So when we first got there to Stalheim, we were lucky enough to have a hotel, which was a luxury on this trip. And we had a hotel there with a fantastic dinner. Then the next night we drove through the tunnels and all the mountains of Norway before getting to Oslo-Slidre, where we had a concert, and then another fun homestay. For this homestay, she was there, but it was kind of like her guest house, so we didn't really get to mingle with her much, but we did get a little bit of an insight to how the people in this area live, which was super nice to see. After that, we went the next morning to Flom, and this was probably one of the coolest parts of the entire trip for myself and a lot of other people. In Flom, we got to experience a water safari through the fjords, and it's something that I just feel like not many people get to do, but it was incredible. I would do it over and over, and yeah, they gave us these like almost ski suits, like we were about to go skiing down the mountain, because the boats they were speed boats, so they went super fast, and the water there was still pretty chilly, so I mean, yeah, you were going to be pretty cold if you didn't have one on. So what also made this fjord safari super cool was that we actually got to see the town that they based Arendelle off of in Frozen. I'm a pretty big Disney nerd, just like a lot of people, so getting to see that was really special. they actually flew people in from Disney to go all over Norway, and they said this was the main town that they tried to base it off of. And I think you'll see at the end kind of some of the similarities there. And yeah, it was super cool to see. Not only that, we just got to see all of the fjords. There's really nothing out there except for you and nature. And yeah, it's super special, and I would love to go back, and everyone should go. And finally, after having that fjord safari in Flåm, we took a little bit of a break, had lunch before driving to Oslo. And Oslo, yet again, was an incredible city. Literally everywhere in Norway is awesome. And if you're feeling like weird about going to different countries because maybe you only speak English, don't at all. Literally, like, everyone there speaks English. And for most of these countries we went, it wasn't like, oh no, the Americans are here, we have to speak English. But a lot of them kind of enjoyed, I think, speaking English because it was like they could practice their English skills. And yeah, so it seemed like they enjoyed actually speaking English, and we weren't a burden. So that was nice. Anyway, so our last stop in Norway was Oslo. And Oslo's the biggest city in Norway. It's the one that kind of has more of a big city feel. But as of all the cities in Norway, none of them had like too big city of a feel. They were all very welcoming to everyone. It was very easy to get around, and it was just wonderful. Everything about it was wonderful. Normally when we have travel days in choir, if we're traveling like a long distance, then we'll have that day off to kind of rest. But for this day, when we drove from the Valdres region to Oslo, we had a concert that night. But looking back on the tour, I'm really glad we did, because that meant that the next day we got to have an entire day off pretty much in Oslo. So that was super special. At this concert, this would have been our 4th concert of the tour in Oslo. We did it along with the Skola Kantorum, and they were probably one of the top 2 choirs that I think we sang with over this entire tour. They were fantastic. They're a college level choir, and all of them were professional musicians, I would say. They were really great. They sang incredibly hard music, and then we got to sing with them a little bit at the end. This is where I kind of knew that they weren't messing around, because for our encore pieces with them, we did a song called Gropen, which is a Norwegian folk song. We did Stacey Gibbs' setting of Wade in the Water, and then finally we did Sverreberg's And Death Shall Have No Dominion. So if you know choir music at all, these are 3 pretty tough pieces, especially the Sverreberg. It's just kind of weird and stuff that a lot of choirs do not do. But we just put it together, and it was great. And yeah, one of the biggest takeaways from that concert for me was that we were both singing such different music, but it was great in its own way. You know, we're really known, I'd say, for our traditional American music, our spirituals, kind of that loud and robust sound, but also, you know, taking it back, singing some like William Byrd, other things. So we can be pretty versatile, I would say. And them, on the other hand, it was it was lighter, airier, and had a folk quality to it. But it was gorgeous in its own sense. And yeah, both are great in their own different way, so that was super cool to see. Also, what I am super happy about is that I was able to get my hands on some clips from us singing. It was obviously very hard for me to find clips of us singing just because I was literally up there singing. But shout out to Tessa. She came along with us on the tour and did some filming, so I think I will be able to put some of those clips in, because we did get some from Norway and Sweden and Denmark, so hopefully I'll be able to put some of those in this video and the next video. So our final day in Norway was that free day that we had in Oslo. This was our last day before heading to Gothenburg, Sweden, and Oslo was incredible. We had the entire day off, like I said, so we got to explore all the shops, go walk around, and also we went to the beach. So we took a little ferry and got to swim around a little bit. I would caution you, if you are going to Norway or other places overseas, beware that sometimes beaches that you might think of in America are going to be very different than beaches other places. So all the people we were with were just urging us, hey, go out to this little island and swim a little bit. but the water's going to be different. It's not a sand beach that you would think of. It's pretty rocky. You just hurt your feet, walk over some rocks, and get into freezing cold water. Obviously the water's going to get warmer after a little bit, but you are going to be cold. So bring a towel and maybe bring another change of clothes because they do have bathrooms around. And then lastly, just plan out the time that it's going to take for you to use the ferries. It's usually pretty easy to navigate, and what's super cool is if you get a bus pass, all the bus passes also work for the ferries. So you can pretty much get anywhere, and it's really easy to get around. So yeah, this last day in Oslo was our free day. We got to go to all the shops, have lunch down by the water, and then go to this beach. And then after that, we just explored some more, went up by the palace. I don't think I got any video of that, sorry, but we just kind of hung out all day and walked around. I'm not sure what all videos I have, but I'll try to include them, obviously, at the end. And then after our free day, around 6 or 7 o'clock, we went back and actually hung out with the Skola Kontorm again, just because it's really cool to be able to meet other people who have your same interests, that are the same age, from a different country. So we really wanted to be able to hang out with them, kind of learn how they make music. They could learn a little bit from us maybe, and we just got to hang out all night. So we went back to their rehearsal, got to hear them sing a little bit, and yeah, then we just hung out, had drinks, talked, and it was a good time. All in all, this part of the tour was incredible. Maybe my favorite part, getting to go through Norway, and I would highly suggest to anyone, if you're able to ever go to Scandinavia, of course take the opportunity to do it. It is a place that everyone really needs to visit. It might not be the top of everyone's lists. I know a lot of people are always like, I want to go to Spain or England or Ireland or Italy, wherever. But I would urge all of you, if you have the chance, go to Norway, go to Sweden, Denmark, any of these places, because the people there are incredible, and you will not regret it, I promise. So, I hope you enjoyed part 2 of this video on the MSU Chorale's tour to Scandinavia. If you enjoyed this, please give this a like and subscribe for more content. I'm hopeful now, after I got some more videos, that I'll be able to fill this video out and also part 3. But yeah, stay tuned, and thanks for joining The Life with Luke.